Bloodlust Unleashed. Once upon a time, in a small, idyllic town, a new arrival caused a stir among the residents. Her name was Valentina, and she was unlike anyone they had ever seen before. She was tall, with striking features, and her skin was so pale that it seemed to glow in the moonlight. Her eyes were deep pools of mystery, and her voice was like a lullaby, soothing and alluring. The men of the town found themselves falling under her spell, unable to resist her seductive ways. Valentina was a vampire, and she had come to the town to feed on the blood of its inhabitants. At first, the women of the town were wary of her, sensing that there was something not quite right about her. But before long, they too were drawn in by her charm and charisma, and soon the entire town was under her control. Valentina would take the men she had seduced to a secluded spot and feed on their blood, killing them in the process. The town was filled with fear and terror as the bodies of the dead began to pile up, and no one knew who was responsible. Valentina was on the hunt for her next meal, and she had her sights set on a young couple who were out on a date in the park. They were sitting on a bench, lost in each other's eyes, when Valentina approached them. "Excuse me," Valentina said, her voice like honey. "I couldn't help but notice how in love you two are. It's truly a beautiful thing to see." The couple turned to her, caught off guard by her sudden appearance. But as they looked into her piercing eyes, they were quickly drawn in by her charm. "Thank you," the young man said, his voice stuttering. "We are very much in love." "It's so rare to find true love these days," Valentina said, sitting down next to them. "Would you mind if I joined you for a while? I would love to hear more about your story." The couple hesitated for a moment, but Valentina's alluring gaze was too much for them to resist. They agreed to let her join them, and before long, they were talking and laughing as if they had known her for years. As the night wore on, Valentina began to work her magic. Her words were like a spell, and the young couple was completely entranced. They were so caught up in her presence that they didn't even realize what was happening. Valentina's hand brushed against the young woman's neck, and she could feel the pulsing of her blood. She leaned in closer, her lips just inches from the young woman's ear. "You are so beautiful," Valentina whispered, her voice like a caress. "I have never seen anything like you before." The young woman shivered, unable to resist the pull of Valentina's seductive voice. She leaned in closer, eager for more. And then, with a sudden move, Valentina sank her teeth into the young woman's neck, taking her blood and killing her instantly. The young man, still under her spell, didn't even realize what was happening until it was too late. Valentina stood up, her eyes shining with the thrill of the kill. She was already looking for her next victim, already plotting her next seduction. For Valentina, the hunt was never-ending, and she would stop at nothing to satisfy her thirst for blood. One day, a young woman named Sarah came to the town. She was searching for her missing brother, who she suspected had fallen under Valentina's spell. Sarah was determined to find him and put an end to the killing once and for all. She began to investigate, and soon discovered the truth about Valentina. Sarah gathered a group of brave men and women and set out to stop the vampire once and for all. The night of the final showdown was tense and filled with drama. Valentina was powerful and cunning, and she was not going to go down without a fight. She used her powers of seduction to try and distract Sarah and her allies, but they were not so easily swayed. "You may have fooled the others," Sarah said, "but you won't fool me. I know what you are and I won't let you hurt anyone else." "Oh, but my dear," Valentina said, her voice dripping with honey. "I have no intention of hurting anyone. I am simply following my nature. And you, my dear, are not immune to my charms." Sarah stood her ground, and the two women faced off in a battle of wills. Valentina was a skilled seductress, and she used her powers to try and distract Sarah, but Sarah was not so easily swayed. "I am a woman of strength and determination," Sarah said. "I will not be swayed by your tricks. I will stop you, even if it means putting an end to my own life." The two women fought, each determined to be the victor. In the end, Sarah emerged victorious, but it was not without a cost. She had been bitten by Valentina, and she now carried the curse of vampirism within her. Sarah was a completely changed person. No longer was she the sweet and innocent young woman she once was. She was now a ruthless monster, driven by her thirst for blood. And with her newfound powers, Sarah turned on the town, hunting down its residents one by one and seducing them with her charms before killing them. No one was safe from her wrath, and the town was soon thrown into chaos as people fled for their lives. As the death toll rose, the townspeople banded together to try and stop Sarah, but she was too powerful for them. She was like a force of nature, unstoppable and unrelenting. Finally, a group of hunters arrived in town, determined to put an end to Sarah's reign of terror. They knew they had to act quickly, before she became even stronger. The hunters and Sarah clashed in a final showdown, with Sarah using all of her powers to try and defeat her opponents. But in the end, the hunters were too much for her, and they managed to stake her through the heart, finally putting an end to her terrible reign. The town was left in shambles, with many lives lost and countless others forever changed by Sarah's evil. But the people slowly began to rebuild, vowing never to forget the terror that had befallen them and to always be on guard against the darkness that lay just beyond their doorstep.